Hey there, fellow patriots. It's cousin Vinny's place. We're back after a lengthy absence. Um, I apologize for that. There was a lot going on, but like I said, we're back. This past weekend, I had the pleasure of doing a podcast with Mr. Frank Salvato of Underground USA, um, and that podcast is coming up. It was recorded off of Skype, so please bear with the idiosyncrasies of Skype. Sometimes the audio cuts out a little bit. The video's not the greatest quality, but that's the limitations of streaming and recording from Skype. There's also going to be another video today about the State of the Union that was last night, and my thoughts on that. But for right now, here's the video of the podcast that was recorded this past weekend. As always, please mash that like button, subscribe, share this video as much as possible. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're notified of upcoming videos. And with that, here's the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Del Vecchio, do me a favor
Sure.
and tell me a little bit about yourself and tell me about the YouTube channel that you have.
Well, I am retired Navy, and I started this YouTube channel just because I was kind of tired of everything that's been going on uh, with the progressives taking over, and I know that it's every American's duty to do something. And my thought was to try to start something at the local level and hopefully branch out. So I really appreciate this opportunity to hopefully get the message out to as many people as possible.
Yeah, and all politics is local. I mean, that's something that a lot of
Right.
people are not. They'll watch national news, they'll watch Fox, they'll watch MSNBC, they'll watch CNN, and they say, "Well, I'm up on politics." But politics is actually, it trickles up where the economy trickles down. Politics trickles up.
Right, right. Yeah. And like people always, like complain, well, I don't know like what to do. I don't know what to do. You have to get involved. I mean, go like to town board meetings, vote, actually get out there and vote for all the local elections, dog catcher, mayor, city council. You got to get to know your city council people. You got to get to know your town board members. You got to get involved because, like you said, it starts at the grassroots level and works its way up. So, but like people have to get involved, and that's hopefully what I want to try to do with the YouTube channel, and hopefully get similarly minded people involved.
Yeah, and the government that's closest to you is the government that affects you the most. Everybody
Right.
wants to bitch about taxes and bitch about all the national the national issues, but I mean there are issues that affect us in our pocketbooks and in with our freedoms and what we can and cannot do
Right.
at a local level, much more on a daily basis than it does on a national level. So,
Right. Yeah.
people need to be able to, and this is where your U.S. representatives and your U.S. senators
Right.
they cut their teeth in local politics. You just don't
Right.
start by running for representative or senate. You
Yeah.
start through local, then county, then state,
Right.
and you graduate. Unless, of course, you're Barack Obama, then you
And
just
sure, yeah, but
yeah,
and the ironic thing is that's the way the founders wanted it. The founders wanted the local governments to be the experiments of liberty, and that's where they like wanted to the majority of the quote unquote the power to be is with the local governments, not the federal governments.
yeah.
And
We've got it backwards.
right, right,
Right now, because of the Commerce Clause and because of the 16th Amendment, we've got
yeah,
everything flipped.
yeah.
The federal
Well,
government has an undue influence on everything that we do, and the 50 separate constitutions of the 50 separate states don't mean
right,
jack.
right, right. And what's that says the federal government? The federal government didn't create the states, so
Right.
people seem to think that the only way to get anything done is through the federal government, where it has to start local, and that's where you get the most results and the quickest results, actually.
Well, because you have more of a voice to affect it. When you're looking at a
Right.
vote for your local city council, a lot of, unless you're talking about Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, when you're talking about your typical suburb, you're talking about maybe 600, 700, 800 votes wins an election.
Right. Yeah.
So your vote is more potent on a municipal level, and that's where you can make changes, and it again trickles up. So
Right.
it's that people need to understand that. Now, when you start talking about the national level, we've got these two parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, and for a very long time, I was proud to fly my R flag outside because it
Hmm.
meant something. Now,
Right.
there's on a national level at least, there's such a such a void of spine on the right side of the aisle, and with the go along to get along kind of attitude that happens over there,
Right.
especially in
Right.
Washington, that there's not a lot of difference between the inner 80% of all the politicians in Washington. Yeah, the far right, there's a
Hmm.
difference between the far right and the far left. But that
Yeah.
80% that's in the middle, boy, there's not a lot of difference between them on a lot of the political
Right.
issues. And talking about the far right and the far left, there's a story in the news about the governor of Virginia,
Right.
um, who is who the media, someone of the, I can't remember what the outlet was, but the media, someone in the media found a picture of him from his medical school days where there's a
I
photograph of
saw that. Yeah.
someone in blackface and someone in a KKK get
Hmm.
up for Halloween.
Right.
And people are screaming for him to resign.
Hmm.
The first day he came out and apologized for it. Today I hear he came out and said, "Oh, it wasn't me."
Yeah, well, yeah. I think the first day it came out, I think if I'm not mistaken, I believe the first day that the story broke, he admitted that he was one of the two people,
No.
but he wouldn't say which one. Then he changed the story that he was the one in the blackface. Now he's saying, "Well, I don't know if I'm in it or something like that." So there's all this confusion, and I think it's just basically a cover your ass kind of thing, where the story broke, the hand's in the cookie jar, and he's like trying to cover him. He's like trying to save his political skin.
What bothers me about this one, and it goes back to a lot of the scandals about things that do not have anything to do with political issues, where Republican was forced to resign, is that
Right.
the Democrats, if a Republican would have been outed in a picture like this, no matter if he said it wasn't him or not, and especially even if it wasn't him, they would have
Right.
demanded he resign anyway, just because there might be a chance, and they would have gotten that resignation.
Well,
This
yeah,
this
I
guy
think if
here is saying, "I'm not resigning. I was in the picture in blackface, but I'm still not resigning. Now I don't know
right.
if I'm in the picture or not, but I'm still not resigning. I'm not going to resign."
Well, yeah, it's the hypocrisy of the left and the progressives. When Kavanaugh was going through the hearings, his entire high school life was up for debate and in question, and you know and he was excoriated for nothing. And here, this guy, it's in, excuse the pun, it's in black and white, and you know, it's well, I'm not going to resign. It's just this
Racist.
hypocrisy that just
You're
keeps
sorry.
happening. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I used the racist term.
Racist. You can't racist.
It's
That's the racist.
it's it's just this hypocrisy that just keeps creeping. It's just day after day after day after day, and it's sickening. And honestly, I think the American people see through it. It just pisses them off. You
Well,
know?
and it does, but this is what turns people away from politics. This kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
There's this
Yeah.
duplicitous nature. The dangerous thing that I see in this is we're reinforcing something that we saw back in the starting in the Clinton administration, definitely throughout the Obama administration, is that there are two sets of rules. If a Democrat transgresses the law, let's say, and I don't want to go deeply into Hillary Clinton here today because we'd be here for months.
We'll be here for like a week.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, months. Yeah. Whatever.
but she does things. She transgresses top secret clearances, uses illegal. people say it's bad, but nobody ever follows through on prosecuting.
Right.
But if a Republican would do it, he would not only have to resign and be brought up on charges, there'd be a special counsel seated, this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah.
Right.
So
Right.
little things like this, where a Republican would be made to resign, but a Democrat says, "I'm just not going to resign, and no one can make me."
Sure.
They kind of reinforce that there are two sets of rules depending on
Hmm.
what letter comes after your political name,
Right.
and we can't have that. I
Well,
mean,
yeah, but
we can't. The courts are, our judicial system has to be one for
yeah.
all, not one for the elites, one for the Democrats, one for the Republicans, one for the poor people. You
Right.
know.
But an, another problem is that the media is complicit in this.
Oh, of course.
Because the media doesn't because the media is by all for all intents and purposes the media is an extension of the Democratic Party. So they kind of clamp down on the Democratic foibles, and they'll run whatever story they want, for a Republican, and and then even if it does get up to the court level, the Obama administration stacked the courts with like so many liberal and progressive judges that they're it's I don't think anything's going to happen. It's sad, but I mean I don't think anything's going to happen.
Well, of course,
As far as the change goes, I mean I don't
until we change the culture, until people
Yeah,
demand.
right.
I mean, we're seeing in local elections where you and I live. We both live in the Panhandle of Florida between Pensacola
Right.
and Destin.
Yeah.
We're starting to see a cultural change down here where people have said enough is enough, and they're starting to affect these changes at a local level, at least at a county level, saying
Right.
that there can't be. We're tired of cronyism. We're tired of two sets of rules. We want everything to be level, and we want people to have equal opportunity. So we're actually starting to see a change. But again, this goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. This is all politics affecting political change at the local level, not the national level.
Right, and people can't be complacent though, and that's what I seem to see a lot is that people are complacent because they're stuck in these doldrums that say, well, what can one person do or what can I do? So that's what I'm hoping with my channel and appearing with you and other people is that I'm hoping to kind of shake these people not awake, but kind of get them active and active locally to affect the change that needs to be affected so that hopefully it'll blossom into something larger.
Well, yeah, and it's people have to understand that how many times have you heard people say my vote doesn't count? Well, when you look at local politics, again,
Absolutely.
what we said previously, 600 votes can make the difference. So you hold a lot more weight in local politics. We were talking about affecting that cultural change, and where it relates to the Republicans and the Democrats, and that 80% in the middle being cut of the same cloth. The only time that you see one of the edges, one of the 10% on this and the 10% on that side, when you see them get uproared about political change, is when you throw a third party wrench in there. And that's another story that I wanted to talk to you about, was Howard Schultz, the ex-CEO of Starbucks, who's announced that he's going to run not as a Democrat, but as an independent.
Right.
And he is left. He's it's Starbucks. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Starbucks is left.
Well, yeah.
But the Democrats and the left are apoplectic about this because he is going to siphon off votes from their socialist candidates.
Well, yeah, because they saw what Ross Perot did with Bush, and a lot of people say that Perot cost Bush the election, which I mean I don't know if you do the math, it's possible, that he siphoned off enough votes to cost the election here. So they see that, and of course they're like worried about 2020. I'd be too, but.
And Schultz throws a little bit of a wrench, I think, into the movement of the Democrat Party, which is moving demonstrably left to almost.
It's moving. Yeah, it's moving socialist.
Yeah,
I'm socialist, Frank. I mean,
I'm even
Okay,
more inclined to go just a step farther to say that they
you're
are
gonna go
touching
commie.
on. No,
You're gonna go commie.
I'm going fascist.
You're going fascist.
I'm
Wow.
going
Okay.
fascist. I'm going fascist for a reason. It's
You're
because
you're dropping the F bomb, are you?
I am dropping the F bomb.
You're dropping the F bomb.
I
All right,
am.
nice.
So fascist you, man. Um,
Okay.
I think of it when you look to see what they're doing. You look at the Pelosi's, you look at the activists within the
Yeah.
Democratic Party and on the left. If you don't agree with them, then not only are you wrong, but you have to pay a
Oh, they'll
penalty.
silence you. They'll silence you and they'll destroy you. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I'm seeing that as more, they're quick to call everybody on the right a fascist. Obviously, they don't know what the definition of fascism
No,
is.
no, no.
Uh, but
And
I
see, I
see
don't know
them
if I throw
going.
that term around. I don't know if I would throw that term around lightly. Only I don't know. It's I don't know. It's dangerous to throw terms like Nazis around. It's dangerous to throw
Oh, of
terms like
course.
fascist around. I mean, because it's
But
it's
but see, fascist here is an ideology. When you look at socialism, socialism is an economic system. When you're looking at
right, right.
fascism, fascism is an ideology that is oppressive, non-inclusive, authoritarian in nature. It fits the
Hmm.
definition of what they're doing. I mean, look at Pelosi. We're
Right.
not going to have a wall. Well, you're Speaker of the House. Number one, there are a lot more members of the House than just you,
Right. But
and
she's the speaker of, but she's the speaker. So,
I think she's taken it a little bit too much to heart being the speaker. It's not the speaker for the House, it's the speaker of the House.
mm,
So she doesn't speak for everybody in the House. She doesn't even speak for everybody in the Democratic Party because we're seeing
no,
some
of course
people,
not. But
Democrats from Texas, saying absolutely we can have a barrier, not a wall, but a barrier. It's trickling out of their mouths very hard, but
but
barrier.
but Frank, how many times have the progressives changed terminology to make it sound right? It's not a tax; it's a voluntary contribution. It's not, whatever. They always change the terms. It's not global warming; it's climate change. It's not this; it's that. It's not. They try to soften it up to, you know, and they do it with everything. It's a typical tactic.
Well, that is one of the modus operandi of the progressive left is that and a great book to read is Fabian Freeway by Rose Martin.
Mm-hmm.
It describes the genesis of the progressive movement circa 1900, a little bit beforehand over in Europe, and how it fed off how the communists and the socialists their whole network and how they wanted to bring it into the 20th century. They wanted to capture the education system, needed to capture the media, and once they captured the media, the marching order was always redefine things to find out what rings true with the people.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, everything you just said is absolutely spot on. But
Yeah.
I
They've been
just
doing
see
it for decades.
well, yeah, they've been doing it since 1890 something. Yeah.
Wow.
I just see that their empowerment,
Mm-hmm.
their the basis for how they move forward in pushing the new singular political issues,
Mm-hmm.
they're not even feigning that they want to discuss
No,
this anymore.
no, there's no pretense anymore. There's no illusion. They've pulled off their masks and they're showing themselves for who and what they are.
Yeah,
And and
and
you know,
and I
the
and I say fascist. I think they're
okay.
I think they're I think they're
I
I
don't know if
think
I'd
they're
go that
just
far. I'd go
a,
socialist. I don't know if I'd go fascist. I don't
a
know if I'd go
bunch
fascist
of
yet. I definitely go socialist though.
a bunch of little sniveling rat-faced fascists. And
Rat-faced
it-
bastards.
and yeah, and in Nancy Pelosi's case, really stretched back, rat
Ooh,
faced. I'm
yeah,
going there.
yeah.
I went there.
All
You
right, okay.
you
Better
know,
you than me. I don't know if I want to go there.
yeah. Hey, just call me at 1-800.
In
Um,
one year, yeah. Folks,
um,
send all your letters to Frank Salvato.
Salvato, care of Nancy Pelosi's office, San Francisco, California. She'll get them to
Yeah,
me.
sure. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Oh, yeah, sure.
um,
Yeah, so she will.
talking about redefining, and I just lastly wanted to touch upon on the barrier, the wall.
Oh, yeah, the
I'm
barrier or the
falling
wall?
for it. I'm falling
Which
for it.
one?
You
Or
know,
the fence? or
the fence. It could be the fence. You know, it started the
Yeah.
whole campaign with President Trump. It was the wall, the wall, the wall, the wall, the wall. Now Nancy Pelosi says no wall. There will be no wall. Never a wall. I think she said it 80 times, and she even lost her temper in one press conference saying, "There will be no wall. Do you not understand? There will not be a wall." But now they're talking about compromising, and well, there may be a barrier. You know, there could be a some sort of barrier.
Call it whatever you want. I don't. Call it a turkey sandwich. I don't care what you call it, as long as it works. Call it a turkey sandwich. I don't care if that makes you sleep at night. Beautiful. I don't care.
I want 10,000 miles of turkey sandwich.
That's it. You know what? But I don't care what you call it. Just stop the illegal trafficking of humans, drugs, people, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's it. Just stop it.
And that's the big one. They keep talking about the women and children being rejected at the border, and it's so much more. When you talk about, and I think the biggest, and granted, the drug trade is going to find a new way to get their wares in here. The Colombians.
Okay, they might, but at least slow it down.
Well, you could slow it down, and I don't disagree that it would, but
at least try. At least try.
The biggest thing happening at the border, no one is talking about, or people who are talking about are doing it very, very. They're small in number. Is the human trafficking that's coming over the southern border? There are women being sold into the sex industry. There are children being sold into literally slavery
into the sex industry and the sex industry as well.
You've got
pornography's getting. It's nuts.
You've got Democrats, and you've got the factional Democrats in Congress, like the Congressional Black Caucus. You've got these special interest groups in Congress who think nothing of telling you how bad the United States was back in the early 1800s and the 1700s because they allowed slavery. Yet we've got people coming over the southern border right now who are being sold into black market slavery right here in the United States of America, and they're fighting to not put up something that could at least slow it down, thwart it, or put a bigger spotlight on it. So, this is one of those times when Democrats have to be disgusted with themselves.
Well, also, Frank, the hypocrisy of, the Democrats claim to be the party of women. Protecting women. Where's the outrage about all the women getting sexually abused on the way from Honduras or Guatemala or whatever, or getting raped, beaten, killed? And there's silence about that. And the kids, there's silence about that. Where's the outrage?
And they're saying the authorities now, and I believe it's been, and as much as I don't have any use for the United Nations, their Human Rights Council has documented that most of the women who are making this trek from Latin America through Mexico to get to the United States have been raped not once but twice on the journey coming through here. That's just a stunningly horrible realization to come to. So why we're not trying
where are
to...
the Democrats on this?
Yeah,
where are the Democrats on this? And nobody's holding them to account either.
No, and if you ask them about
it, the Republicans don't have a backbone and hold them to account and say, "Listen, guys, you guys claim to be the party, of protecting women. Where's your outrage on this?" And nobody's holding them to account, and that's what is aggravating the American public, is they see this and they see this phony outrage on one end, but not on the other end, and it's just, I'm sorry. Look, immigration is a touchy subject for me because I happen to be a son of an immigrant, a grandson of an immigrant, and just so happens I happen to be an immigrant myself. So this hits home for me. Okay, I mean, I came here when I was 2.5. Okay. My parents were separated for 2.5 years, okay, because my dad couldn't bring my mom and me over because we had to wait our turn like everybody else, and we followed the law, okay? They were separated. My dad was in New York, and we were in Italy, and they waited until my mom, our number was called or whatever, and then we came over in 1965, and that's the way it was done. So, as people, well, you're separating kids. How about what my family went through?
See, does
that not count?
and that's the whole thing. And I'll go back to kind of meld a couple of these things together. You know it just as well. Progressives also were the ones that spearheaded the whole effort to kind of minimize the importance of social studies and history in the schools,
Yeah,
especially in junior high school and high school.
sure. Yeah,
So how could anybody know that when the immigrants came over here in the three big waves that we've had during the time of our country, and even in modern times, as in case in point with your family, that there were separations of families.
yeah,
That families over in Europe used to send one or two people from their family over here to establish a foothold, and they would bring people over here
right.
the legal way.
Right. Years later, not, oh, guess what? Come on over. No, it was years, and guess
Yeah.
what? We didn't have welfare. We weren't offered free education. We weren't offered free healthcare. We weren't offered free drivers. We were offered nothing free. All my family worked for everything that they got. They weren't just handed it the way, New York just passed, I guess, either yesterday or today, they just like sent it up to the governor. Illegal aliens are going to get free education on the taxpayer dime.
No, there you go. I mean,
It's sickening. It's just sickening. It's nuts. I'm sorry, we're like getting off topic here, but
well,
it's just
no, but I
sickening.
mean, but that's the point. I mean, here's a redefinition of our culture. I know we're
Yeah,
talking about a redefinition of words that progressives do,
yeah,
but they're just saying, you know what? Because no one has a working knowledge of history, we should all be appalled that families are being separated when they want to come here illegally
right.
over our borders. But just a generation ago, that was commonplace, and no
Yeah.
one was upset about a family
No,
being separated.
no, because they came in legally, because they didn't want to break the law, because we're a nation of laws, and if your first act about of like coming to America is to break the law,
Yeah.
what does that say about you? I don't want you in my country if your first act is to break our laws.
Yeah, or to insist that our laws have to be selective.
Yeah, or better yet, to insist that you have to suck off the teat of everybody else that's working. You know,
See, I'm just telling you, and you're correct that our system of the Democrats are trying to push our economic system more towards socialism. I think we're there with a lot of issues that we have, especially medicine.
well, I think they're hitting the Alinsky
Welfare.
playbook. They're
Yeah.
they're using the Saul Alinsky playbook, chapter and verse.
Yeah.
They're just weakening the country from the inside. You know,
And
inside out, whatever.
now they're acting like little fascists.
Well,
See?
all right, fine.
See, I'm
Use the
going.
term
Yeah,
fascist.
I'm going to get there. You will just wait next week when we
Do you
talk.
think Alinsky was a fascist? No, he was a socialist. He wasn't a fascist, was he?
I think, quite honestly, if you actually looked at his checkbook, I bet you he was a capitalist. He was just actually
Well, yeah, but
putting forward a fantastic way to win elections. The little tool,
well, yeah, I get it. I guess.
you know. So we're gonna try and chat once a week. I know schedules and kind of get conflicted and stuff. We're going
I'd
to
love that. Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
try and chat once a week just to bring some hometown kind of goodness to politics instead of parroting the
Yeah,
same.
and hopefully bring some sanity. Hopefully bring some sanity and some I mean, I think we need some sanity, civility. I think we need a re-education of our foundings and our founding principles and our founding values, and that's the only way we're going to get out of this. It's a shame that they've taken civics. I remember taking civics courses.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's gone now because the Democrats and the progressives are controlling the education system.
Or it's an elective where you have to go down a hall that's seldom traveled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever. Or you got to pay for it or something like that. But we need a return to the founding principles, and we need common sense. We need civility. We need education. All of it. So hopefully we can meet once a week, and hopefully we can get some people on board and start something going here.
Yeah. Now, how can people tune in and see the YouTube?
The YouTube is Cousin Vinny's place.
See, I feel like I should be drinking a glass of wine.
and that's it, and I wanted to make it like a kind of place where it's not, it's not stuffy, it's not rehearsed, it's not, with a lot of production and all that, because I don't have a lot of production value.
Mhm.
But like I want, like, a hometown kind of, a homey kind of, kick back, let's talk, get everything off your chest, no
So, ba-
PC, no PC,
so,
nothing, just
so basically, we've graduated to the adults tables, which you're telling me.
yeah, exactly. Have an adult beverage, have a beer, have a scotch, whatever you want, and just relax, and let's just sit down and let's solve these problems rationally, with common sense, with, because that's the only way that we're gonna pull ourselves out of this.
Okay, one more time with the YouTube channel.
It's Cousin Vinny's Place. The email is cousinvinnysplace@gmail.com. That's it. I got, I think 8 videos are up now. I took a break for like a while, but now I think I'm going to get back into this. So, especially if we're going to be doing this once a week. So,
All right, man. Well, we will talk next week then.
and why don't you let people know where they can get a hold of you, sir?
You can find me at undergroundusa.com. There's a variety of podcast offerings over there. Please sign up and subscribe. You'll get we're on iHeart, we're on Google Play, we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on all the usual suspect places where you can get podcasts. Sign up for the subscribe, and you'll get little alerts on your smartphone apparatus, or
Awesome.
your
Awesome.
Amazon,
And,
whatever that woman is, Alexa,
yeah.
Alexa, I guess.
Alexa, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go ahead and I'll put a link to that in the video description for the YouTube channel, so
Beautiful.
they'll just be able to click over. And
Yeah, undergroundusa.com.
sounds great, Frank. I look forward to speaking to you once a week.
Sounds good, man.
All right,
Talk to you
thank you,
later.
buddy.
Yep.
All right, thanks.